in the early 90s, we never had anything called video conferencing, right? Or we hardly practiced that. So we had only telephonic discussions. The communication models were telephone, letters, and emails to an extent, very rare. But today, we talk to people in any mode that we want. We want to do it on WebEx or Teams or WhatsApp video or any mode of online you connect with. It's very simple to connect with somebody wherever you may. One thing which I always advise recruiters: always give feedback to any candidate. It can be a positive or negative feedback. Doesn't matter. Give them that positive feedback so that they'll be happy. Give them that negative feedback also, which will make they're doubly happy because they will improvise and they'll not wait for your call.
Right.
End of the day, you shouldn't become a villain there. When we spoke about the fake candidates, right? I interviewed one of them, and the technical panel also interviewed the same person. A person who joined also was, a person who was shortlisted, and he had a date of joining maybe 2 days in the coming week or something. And then when he joined, the same question were asked, and he was blinking. So we had a small doubt, and we wanted to cross question again to check because people are very smart these days, using all the smart things.
Right.
So we questioned the same thing, and we found out that he was not the same person who we interviewed. He was the twin brother of the person who we interviewed. So even if they were non-identical, you had some chance to guess something. Since they were identical twins, you had very less chances. And then we found out that that was a fake interview and all that.
Welcome to the Thought Feed by Inspirasis Solutions Limited. Today we continue to have with us Isaac, who's Senior Manager Talent Acquisition at Inspirasis. So we've had enough discussion in our first episode on hiring fresh graduates and what is the importance of internship programs for them, and what are the do's and don'ts that they should be following. So today, first let's welcome Isaac San. Hello, Isaac San.
Hi.
Nice to have you with us again.
Pleasure is mine.
Yes. So without further ado, let's quickly get started. As I just mentioned that since we discussed all these regarding the fresh graduates, now let us delve deeper into the broader hiring landscape.
Sure.
So what is the process like from start to finish?
Maybe I'll put it in a very simpler way. How did you get into the organization? What was the first step that you were inclined to get into the organization? How did people approach you?
First I applied, and then there was a phone call.
There was a phone
First,
call? Okay.
Yes.
So initial step is the phone call.
Right.
From the phone call till your onboarding. Okay. This is the complete process as in a life cycle of a talent acquisition professional. Okay. When the first call comes, they validate you, they check whether you exactly match the requirement of what we have in the organization, and then we interview you, try to see that how well you gel. Okay. And then we find you suitable, and that's where you were in, right? So that's the simple process, and in between you have all this selection process, the feedbacks that are being given, the mundane work that we usually do to have a proper process formed to get an employee onboarded. Okay, it can be your interview schedule, it can be your feedback, it can be the offer documentation. I think you would have submitted your documents before you joined us. So document submission, verification of those documents, and then your offer preparation, and then the offer letter release, your acceptance. You would have also signed the offer letter and you would have given it back, and then you come into the organization. So this is a complete process, okay, so which is being expected in any organization as such. So it's simple though, but we ourselves sometimes complicate it. A few organizations make it very simple. It depends on the organization of what basically they want. Yeah.
So do you think there would be any kind of a difference on a telephonic interview and face-to-face interview?
Definitely. See, in the early 90s, we never had anything called video conferencing, right? Or we hardly practiced that. So we had only telephonic discussions. The communication models were telephone, letters, and emails to an extent, very rare. But today, we talk to people in any mode that we want. You want to do it a WebEx or a Teams or a WhatsApp video or any mode of online, you connect with. It's very simple to connect with somebody wherever you might be, right? And telephonic discussion, people don't trust it anymore because we never know. We talk about all these fake employees.
Correct.
Not fake employees as such, fake, interviews where I sit here, I just chew a bubble gum in my mouth and somebody else gives me a voice backup.
Correct.
So telephonic interviews are no more trustworthy, but just for the sake of having the first level of discussion, we do. And the second level, we ask the candidate to meet us face to face.
Yeah.
Even the video conferencing, you have somebody who gives you updates on a talk back.
Exactly.
Yeah, so and we hear that. So even that is found to be, not a great, practice to follow. So we end of the day call the candidate for a face to
In
face.
fact, I recollect one recent video that was viral. That this particular candidate who was having a video interview with the interviewer, and he happened to lose the lip sync, and the audio was like everywhere.
Yeah, and the best part they manage is that they have some technical glitch and there's some network problem. The current was not there. You have a lot of reasons to manage that situation also.
Yeah, but then that's too foolish of them to think that the interviewer is also a stupid person who would not understand these kind of gimmicks.
But everybody, if they think like you, I think it will be an easy process for the recruiter also to close the questions then and there. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of understand that the process needs to be, in a fast-paced mode, and there would be pressure on the, the HRs also to close, particular positions. So, how do you kind of not compromise on the quality of the candidate or the skills of the candidate, get the right candidate as well, and doing that in a speeding up the whole process?
As you rightly mentioned, this word called pressure. See, there is nothing called pressure or tension. Both these, we create it ourselves.
Okay.
If somebody is telling that they are too busy and they don't have time to even call you or text you or update you that they are a little late for the interview, I don't think that's the best way that you need to handle that situation. We're not so busy that we are not able to pick up our phone. Most of the time, we can sleep without a pillow today, not without a phone, right? So that's the current trend, and pressure is something that we create. Like many of us hear that HRs are the reason, or talent acquisition team is the reason for the business is not growing and all that. Well, let me tell you. See, we are just enablers. Okay, talent acquisition team, the entire team is enabling the business to grow. But are the enablers fed with the required amount of information that is required for them to fetch people from the market? If you dig into details, it is no. Just the prediction that we have given some information, HR has not reverted back.
Okay.
That's it. So HR becomes villains. But if you actually deep dive into it, you would have not got a proper job description. You would have not got the correct interview panels. In the job description, there will not be proper skill sets that are mentioned that is required for that particular requirement. Rather, you would have Googled and found that all the skill sets that are available under one umbrella will be there in the JD. And you will have to find a Superman who will be coming under that. The best part of it is the budget part of it. We want everybody, but with a very limited budget, which is like, out of the box thinking. I would definitely, it is a great situation that I would say the person who wrote that JD would have been a really brainy person who Googled up and wrote all the skill set in one JD and asking for that particular thing. End of the day, they boil down and say these three things are more than enough. Had this been done in the first discussion, in a week's time, you would have had that candidate onboarded also. So we face a lot of challenges there also, but nobody gets into details of what are those challenges basically. Okay. We just try to, we are human beings, not to point out anybody as such. We always try to point fingers. This is the person he's the reason, they are the reason and all that. But if we sit and think back, have we given whatever is sufficient enough for this person to look up? It will be a very simple job to finish. So end of the day, it's a joint teamwork. HR cannot work separately. nor the business cannot work separately. It's a teamwork. When we understand this, is going to be a cakewalk for all of us.
So, what are your ways to get the right candidate in that given time? The time crunch is there definitely, because as I said, there is also pressure. So how do you get the right person then?
See, today if you ask me what is the easiest way to get talents, retaining the talent is the first answer for this question. Okay, if somebody is going to look out and but still we want only that person to stay back, we make them to stay back somehow, because I will lose time by the time I recruit somebody. But at the same time, I will spend more money on the person who's getting recruited. Rather, I would, have additional interest shown on this person and ensure that he doesn't look out and he stays back with me. That's the recruitment strategy as on date, right? And apart from this, if you ask me what all do we do, yeah, job boards everybody's aware of. The best thing, the second best thing that happens in the current trend is employee referrals. 20% or 30% the employees whom they refer would be definitely an ideal fit for the organization to an extent of 30%.
Okay.
The reason behind is the employee himself does a screening because his name is involved there, and he brings him to the company, him or her to the company, and then because he has validated, he knows that this person will fully suit into our culture, and this person technically will be sound enough to support, right? So 30% of your job is done, and the 30 or 40% would be technical interviews, and 30 to 40% will be on the attitude and the capability to handle the situation. Anything it can be. So if that is done, I think it's actually an easy job. We'll be able to do it immediately in no time. And we have a lot of, today being in the social media, you have a lot of platforms to publicity or maybe create ads where you say that you're looking for so and so for this particular skill set. You have a lot of platforms, multiple platforms.
Right.
If I keep naming them, it goes on and on and on. So a number of people apply to that, and it becomes finally a great job for you to shortlist.
Correct.
If I am looking for only 50 people, I get about 5 lakh applications or maybe 50,000 applications minimum, where I need to screen, keep on screening, and the year will end. Right? So there are a lot of smart ways being, AI being implemented. We have a lot of smart ways where we can shortlist candidates as well, along with the recruiters. So it's not a tough job though. Any time when you get a requirement, it's as on yesterday they wanted the person to be onboarded, which is practically not possible. But we try our best as business enablers. I would like to mention here business enablers. Talent acquisition or recruiters are always enablers who act as a backbone for the business, understanding the positives and negatives, trying to get the right person onboarded. So that he or she will be the best support for the business. So we do the best, come what may, we have to do it. So it is hard work, yes, required, but little bit of smart work. It's like a pinch of salt. You need a pinch, or whatever you call it, as a little amount of smart work is also required to help the business. Yeah.
So do you recollect anything? When you were recruiting, do you recollect anything where there was something unusual, hilarious, or in a resume or in the interview with the candidate?
When we spoke about the fake candidates, right? I interviewed one of them, and the technical panel also interviewed the same person. A person who joined also was, a person who was shortlisted, and he had a date of joining maybe 2 days, in the coming week or something. And then when he joined, the same question were asked, and he was blinking. So we had a small doubt, and we wanted to cross question again to check, because people are very smart these days, using all smart things.
Right.
So we questioned the same thing, and we found out that he was not the same person whom we interviewed. He was the twin brother of the person whom we interviewed. So even if they were non-identical, you had some chance to guess something. Since they were identical twins, you had very less chances, and then we found out that that was a fake interview and all that. So it was little not a great situation though. but then we had to go through that. It was the first experience for me, and very good experience. So from that time onwards, we were very smart in interviewing people, trying to put them into a lot of questions, trying to understand if that's the person who's really answering. And that's why we made it mandatory that we meet them face to face, which will solve all our queries. One message to all the students or the lateral people who are looking at this is prefer a face-to-face discussion. If you really want to break through the interview, it's definitely an easy job, not at all a tough one. Go for a face-to-face. You yourself can suggest for a face-to-face. Attend one level of interview that will solve all the problem. You'll get shortlisted very soon. Rather than taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rounds, and finally the recruiter will have a sad face and say, "Sorry, we tried so much, but then the business had some other expectations." That will be like end of the day, operation was successful, but patient is dead. Okay, so that will be the situation.
To some level, it also demotivates the candidate, despite passing all the rounds. Ultimately, the answer is no. So that for that person again to give a next round of interviews in some other company, he'll take his own time.
Definitely, that seriousness would go off, no? Because he would have given more than his 100% towards these interviews, because assuming that he'll be shortlisted.
Right.
And not only the candidate as such, the recruiter, imagine his mind state, his or her mind state. They would have prepared the candidate to an extent that he would definitely, pass through. Definitely he'll be selected. And he would have had the, thought already been running in his mind that offer documentation can be done tomorrow, after tomorrow offer can be released. All this thought process would have already started in the recruiter's mind. And trust me, after 7 levels of or 6 levels of interviews, when you hear that the panel is saying he does not suit our requirement, is the same level of tension that this recruiter also will have to undergo, because at least the candidate will take some time. He can take his or own time to attend the next interview, but recruiter has to come back again with the same energy, has to go back to the market, get the apt person for this product. So it's definitely a tough situation.
So we see hiring processes also evolving rapidly. Do you think there has been a major shift in this whole hiring process?
Definitely yes. Previously maybe you can take 90s as reference. Where do we find job postings? Newspapers. Yeah, and a few handbills that comes to your doorstep or wherever you work. These days everything is there in your pocket. You open up any social media, you find those ads popping up and asking you to apply. And even if you see employer branding, there was nothing called employer branding in the early days. Today employer branding is something very much in the trend, where you want to show off your culture. You want to tell them that this is what your workplace is. The best part is that everybody, if you see the WhatsApp status when somebody joins an organization, they put the entire joining kit as a photograph. It can be a pen or a bag or a water bottle, or or put together. They post then in the first day at office. It's like you become a brand ambassador of that organization. So that's the main thing. But in 90s you never found all that. The moment you get a job, and you don't get 4 or 5 offers on those days, you hardly find one offer. You want to stick on to it. You want to be very very faithful to that offer. You give them a commitment. You want to stick on to that commitment. Those kind of ethical stuffs were there. I wouldn't say it is non-ethical, no, but then it was totally different. The respect that you give for an offer that you get in 90s is different. The respect for the offer that you get today is different.
Today, everywhere people are applying. Whichever gives the best offer, they're like, okay.
With one, I try to get 2 more. With that 2 more, I try to get 2 more. I am not at all satisfied today.
Correct.
I want. The want is it's a never-ending stuff for us. So that's the current thing. And screening process. If you talk about the earlier days, screening process was not too much. Today it is like you have AI coming into picture. You have multiple levels of screening through artificial intelligence itself.
Correct.
And beyond that, if I had to say data analytics, in 90s, you had very less data where you can analyze. Today, data analytics plays a very important role. Any decision is being taken with the data that is available.
Right.
So those are drastic changes that you see from the 90s, and when you compare it with today's world. Yeah, so I think that itself says it.
Also, work culture wise, I'm sure there must be a lot of difference, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we don't. A simple example is a cup of coffee.
Hmm.
Hardly many organizations don't provide you coffee in 90s, only for the manager category and the above category. Typical, the senior management today will be only available, for them only the coffee will be available. Today, everybody can have a cup of coffee, maybe not a cup of coffee, a number of coffees today, or tea or whatever it is. Many companies give them with lot of, cool drinks, anything that can make the employee happy.
There's a pantry, there's a cafeteria.
So,
they can go chill, have good snacks and come back.
But the best part is, end of the day, the organization wants the output. If you're able to give that, I think you will get whatever you require.
Right. So, since we already discussed this part, I want to know what are the trends in the HR avenue as such.
Trends as in what is it? What are those trends that I was actually talking about?
Again, it is related to process part itself, as in how they have modified in terms of policies or recruitment and other stuff.
Got it. I mean, you're asking about the process, how it has been changed or how it has been simplified. Yeah. I mean, those days, we had to apply. We had to wait for a few days. We don't know what exactly the feedback is and all that. But today, the moment you apply, you get a response. Having AI in hand, you get a response. Thank you for the application. It is under evaluation. We'll get back to you shortly.
Okay.
You feel very happy about it now? Okay, good. It doesn't stop there. You get a call in the next half an hour or 1 hour from the recruiter just to validate how good your profile is and how good you match the requirement. The next 2-3 hours, if you're really good in that particular requirement, which matches the requirement of the organization, you get a technical discussion being scheduled the next 3 hours or 4 hours. Maybe in 2-3 days' time, you are completely done with the discussions. You know the results as well. One thing which I always advise the recruiters: always give a feedback to any candidate. Okay, it can be a positive or negative feedback. Doesn't matter. Give them that positive feedback so that he'll be happy. Give them that negative feedback also, which will
so
make
that they can improve.
They're doubly happy because they will improvise and they'll not wait for your call.
Right.
End of the day, you shouldn't become a villain there. Okay? He will be waiting for your call, and finally, when you don't call, he will have a grudge on you. He will have a negative thought that what you are not, spoiling your name. You are representing the organization.
Correct.
End of the day, the organization's name will go for a toss. So I always advise my recruiters, to ensure that they give the feedback properly. If they have a detailed feedback, they can still share it to the candidate so that you are helping a candidate. It's not just the process of selection or rejection. Right. It's about teaching somebody also. As a recruiter, you can still teach, train, so that the candidate feels happy about it when he or she is getting selected in the next organization. He will still think about you. Thanks to this recruiter who told me that I am not talking well, but I have a very good technical knowledge. Right. So I speak well. I pass in that interview. So I go through that interview. So all these matter. So I've already mentioned these things before with my recruiters and all, that they should definitely be open enough to talk to the candidates about the selection process. And we are in a situation where we need to simplify all our process. It is no more 6-7 interviews, 9 interviews, and then we'll think through and come. No, candidates are not available. We used to have candidates waiting for about 2 months and all to get them offered. But these days, if you miss them in 2-3 days, you miss the candidate. Correct. They will not be waiting anymore because a number of companies are waiting for the skill sets that they have. So smart enough to work with these set of candidates is to offer them immediately, have them clearly communicated of what roles and responsibilities are they doing, and then try to get them onboarded as early as possible. The more you're open about your organization to the candidate will be more open about his expectation.
Yeah. So now this hybrid mode has come up. So what do you think of work from home setups? And are they effective enough for making the candidate work productively?
I don't know from where do you get these questions, but then they are apt questions. Good question though. Hybrid working worked well really. but I don't think it will work henceforth. Most of the organizations have called back their employees 100%. Few of them have ensured 10 days of work from home is allowed. Few of the organizations 15 days work from home is allowed. But then nobody says 100% work from home. Simple reason that maybe I would say it's for the benefit of the employees. I'll put it that way because when you're at office, you're able to complete your work at 6:30 or 7 o'clock, starting from 9:30. But when you're at home, you're still working. So companies also worried about your work-life balance, right? Uh, it's not about getting things done all the time. Okay, we need to also support as organization. We need to support employees also, where we also think about your work-life balance, right? Just because I'm a manager or I head a particular division doesn't mean that I need to work 24/7 and get everything out of you.
Right.
No. As a head or a manager, I need to think how my employees are also managing work at home.
Correct.
So when I'm so concerned about that, I should ensure that they come to office. It's not about only in front of me if they said they will work. It's gone are those days. Today, output is very much required. When we see output, you're recognized. If your output is not there, the same will happen. You will still be recognized. Okay, so I wouldn't prefer work from home as such because I want all my recruiters to complete work on time and just leave because they would have a lot of work, taking care of parents, kids if they have, a lot of things to be prioritized as well at home. So I always advise people to work from office, which is the best thing as on date.
Right. So there was one question that I wanted to ask you when we were discussing the interview process as such. So what are those platforms that you pick these candidates from?
Okay, there are a lot of platforms. Today there is no scarcity for any platform. We had job boards before. Today, employer referral, job boards. You have a number of job boards, and you have internship programs that are coming into it, and you have networking events that are taking place, and you have seminars that are conducted for people to come and gather and share talents. You have hackathons being organized where people come and share technology. They compete with each other. You identify people out of that, and you have virtual recruitment drives also. Virtual recruitment drives to an extent you do that, and finally, obviously, the final discussion will be a face-to-face discussion that happens, and the other ways of word of mouth that spreads. That's working really well. So when we have so many ways that we can communicate with people, I don't think it's going to be a tough job for us to identify the right skill.
Right.
So yeah, just that we need to find enough time to post in all these, find the right candidate, filter them, and find the right candidate. I think we are there.
Yeah. So I think we've kind of taken this. I mean, this whole episode has gone a very.
You've been very serious today, also. It's been really embarrassing for me to.
No, I think the topic is that because to understand how the process is, how does it start, and how does it continue. How the recruiter feels, how the candidate feels, what is the kind of pressure level that both these people have in this entire hiring.
How did you feel? Let me ask you one question. How did you feel in the recruitment process?
I was extremely nervous, and it's only maybe after the phone call I was, given an idea that I'm going to be a content generator. It could be in writing form. It could be, taking initiative to brand, whatever kind of goes into branding. It could be through external newsletters or podcasts like this. So so I was getting prepared. But there was some clarity given to me about the role, so I think it was easier. And then assignments followed, and then after that, the entire process, like you.
I think you're doing what you've been told for.
Yes.
Good. We'll talk about this in the next episode.
Yes, we can definitely touch upon this topic soon. So that's about it for today's episode. So we will have Isaac San again in our upcoming one. So until then, stay tuned. There's more information and more interesting conversation to brew with Isaac San. So let's meet up in the next episode. Thank you so much. This is ThoughtFeed. Stay tuned.
A company looks for the attitude In today's world, all of us have wonderful skills. But the way that we project, the presentation matters a lot. So we need to focus more on presentation as we are all really skilled enough to prove ourselves that we are technically good. We need to do more hard work into presentations. That will really help us to go along. Adaptability, yes, there is a problem even today. The amount of acceptance of new team members in any team, I'm sure that it's there in my team, it's there in your team also. When somebody gets in new, even a 1 week old employee feels that he's actually been there for about 10 years and he has bonds, right? But end of the day, when you see skill wise, the new journey would have been much better than all the other older people, right? But we hardly recognize that if that manager is not able to find something that is to be corrected, I think manager is not up to the mark of really managing people, right? If I am able to identify this one particular person, like how you said, is not able to cope up with everybody, manage, adapt and all that, I would first talk to that one person first, try to understand where is it getting stuck and try to work along that person. So when I work along with that person, the entire team watches me and I set an example.
Right.
Working with this person, and do you think that they will not come with me? 100% they will come with me. They'll try to accept. Yes, you will definitely have certain number of negatives that are coming through, but never mind. End of the day, the output is very important to me. So as a manager, I need to sit with this one person rather than sitting with those 100 people there. I sit with this one person, fine tune it and get collaborated. End of the day, your work is done. If we have not been able to fulfill any expectations, let's be black and white and say that this is what happened, this we were not able to do, and that's the reason for this gap. We will try to identify it immediately. We'll try to fix it immediately. If we are upfront in telling the business that this is what is happening, business is also happy to help us. But if we say that yes, it is coming, yes, it is coming, you're building hope to the business. So end of the day, you come and say that no, sorry boss.
It's like acting exactly like our candidate.
Exactly, you got the right way. So don't build expectations. Be black and white.